Esports 2020. You're taking a look at shots of Shanghai, China, where the play-ins group stage continues with day 3. My name is Quickshot, and I am joined at the caster desk, the World Championship caster desk by Kajal. It is a pleasure and an honor to have you here.
It's seriously an honor to be here. From finishing the season on such a low note to be at Worlds, casting, EU Masters, all these things, and bringing XL to Worlds.
It's the first time, right? I really appreciate it. Kajal, we're going to be doing the next 2 games, and if we have any tiebreakers, a couple of those as well. Quick updates for the fans and viewers at home. The 5-way tie is still alive. PSG versus V3 is up next, and if V3 wins, the 5-way tie is alive.
Oh boy.
A PSG win will secure them at least a tiebreaker game for first, and it will kill that 5-way scenario. Finally, a win for UOL over LGD in Game 4 will secure them at least a tiebreaker game for first. To summarize it really quickly, half of the remaining scenarios have tiebreaker games, and half of them do not. 0, 2, or 4. I know you and I want tiebreaker games.
Oh, I want some tiebreakers. Give me some tiebreakers.
Absolutely. Now, let's turn our attention to the game at hand. PSG versus V3. Many days ago, you put some faith in V3, talking about expectations. Let's talk about how they've performed, because we've covered PSG a lot. So I want to start with the team that's really coming up against the sort of favorites in the game.
Yeah, I think V3, they've been slumping a bit. They did get the first win of the Worlds 2020 for themselves, but they've been losing the last 2 games. I think the consistent factor they've had is Archer. I think his positioning and his team fight's been really good. Just their mid-jungle's kind of been falling apart a bit. I mean, Bugi himself in the finals was playing so much Lilia. Lilia's been banned most of the games throughout the tournament, especially against him, so he's not been able to pop off as much. So the Galio did come out here and there as well, which was a really good champion, but it just feels like the synergy's not there. They've lost a couple of games, but if they win this game, oof, we're back on track.
Absolutely the case. We're on track, and that 5-way tie is still alive, which is very, very exciting. Let's turn our attention then, of course, to PSG. Now, they've got their AD carry, their starting ADC back. D is no longer playing and competing, so it's Unified. With him now back in the bot lane, and I know you and I talked a lot about what impact this is going to have. What can fans expect at home?
Well, Unified and Kaiwing have been a duo together for the last 3 years. 2017, ever since they started playing together. So Kaiwing was thrown D, and it's sort of a curveball for him. I don't think D was underperforming in their victories or their losses. I think D was performing pretty well, considering he hadn't played League for over a year after retiring as a pro. So Unified's come in. It's definitely going to boost the morale. Unified was definitely a good player for their team before D came in. So now Kaiwing has his boy back. Hopefully they can pop off.
Now, what level of impact do you think it will have in terms of like comms and synergy? Of course, for Unified, this is now the first game on stage. The other 4 players have already played a couple days on stage. I imagine scrim schedule as well would have been a contentious topic, right? We've known Unified would be starting today, so you would assume and presume Unified will be backstage, playing from the hotel room, at least aware of what's going on. But this is a disruption to the team. Even though it's like getting the band back together, it's changing the formula that's worked for PSG.
I mean, the whole thing for them is the meta right now for AD carry is more sort of support-centric, Jhin, Ashe, stuff like this, the Senna. So it won't impact their gameplay too much having D or having Unified back. Obviously, Unified's more experienced. He knows the roster a lot more, so he can bring more to the table, whether it's engages or just shot calling in general. I'm sure he's been backstage watching the games, watching D, giving Kaiwing criticism here and there, because he can get like an outside perspective, right? So if D's been playing with Kaiwing, he can watch his support, give him more criticism from a third-person perspective. So maybe it's helped him improve a little bit. We never know. I
actually really appreciate that idea that when you're watching how the rest of the team plays, you can not only impact your own performance, but the rest of the team. Just a brief update for everyone watching at home. There is a small delay on stage with starting picks and bans. So while the referees and the QA team work through that one, we'll be able to listen to the lovely tones of Mark Kedrel-Lamont.
And Trevor.
No one likes listening to me. I would like to take a look at the standings, though, once we finish taking a look at the players. I do think I just want to remind everybody again of these stakes. You take a look in Group B, 2-1-2-1, 2-2, 1-2, 1-2. There is a scenario where all 5 teams will be tied at 2 wins and 2 losses. And it is fairly complex, but the TLDR is that we will play 4 games to determine the seeding and round out who advances to the group stage, who makes it to the bracket stage. And that means we are potentially in for a lot of extra League of Legends today.
A lot of extra League of Legends. And those games will be important, right? If you can be the first one out of your group, straight to the group stage at Worlds, then you have nothing to worry. Or even though you don't have to really play the best of 5s, you're straight in there and you get your group. So, and on the other side of the hand, if you lose the best of 5, the best of 1 on the bottom side of the bracket, you're just knocked out. So both of them are a lot of pressure, especially knowing it's best of 1. I mean, the 2nd and 3rd place teams and the 4th place teams getting the extra best of 5s could help them going into group stage, into the main event if they do make it themselves. So it's lots of factors to consider. There's definitely advantages and disadvantages to both, so we'll see what happens.
Kajal, do you think LGD will make it to group stage. It is the big topic in this group. Obviously, LPL's 4th seed. They picked up a win earlier today. Will be casting their game immediately after this one. But that result, I think, will dominate the headlines, will dominate social media for a little bit, just because of how big of a result it would be.
If LGD get knocked out, man, 4th seed from China, I'm mind blown, honestly. I mean, UOL looked a bit shaky in their game. They got a little bit stomped by Red Side of Rainbow 7, so LGD definitely coming in with lots of confidence. They did pick up a win today. I don't think their win was so convincing. I think their draft was convincing. They definitely changed things up in the draft. They went for the Ornn, they went for more scaling, more teamfight-oriented picks. I think they had the game in the bag in the first 15-20 minutes. Just there was a lot of key mistakes in their fights, lots of bad decision-making. But they did pull out the win in the end, which is exactly what they needed. If they were sitting at 0-3, man, that would be a horror. So now they're 1-2. They definitely have a chance, but UOL's in their way.
I mean, UOL, also just lost the game very handily. And in terms of morale, motivation, confidence, being smashed that hard by Rainbow 7 with the 1-3-1 comp that they had. Yeah, they were. And especially when they were on the red side, picking that Skana into the Camille, the Ezreal, the Lucian, it didn't work for them. So there's a lot on the line for that UOL LGD game after this.
I mean, yeah, it didn't work, honestly. I mean, the concept and idea behind it was good, but props to Rainbow 7, right? You lost a couple games, you did beat LGD yesterday, but you come in with so much confidence and you just bust out the Lucian Camille Evelyn comp, a 1-3-1 comp, when it's like a teamfight Ornn meta. That's crazy.
During the interview with Law during Countdown, they were also talking about how the pressure, being down like 1 game away from elimination, actually helped Rainbow 7 focus, helped them really get in the mindset to be able to play. So let's see. I mean, the pressure is not going to be higher for everyone else playing at the moment. Rainbow 7, they finished their group stage 2 wins, 2 losses, and they are awaiting the results of these next 2 matches before we find out about tiebreakers. And as you can see on stage just a moment ago, there were a number of tech and QA staff behind the V3 members, so they're still working through the issues. While we've got PSG on screen, I do want to bring us back to Unified. I do have some stats, I believe, through their summer season, and want to just put a bigger highlight on maybe Unified's champion pool, some of the expectations. I know he played a lot of Aphelios, towards the end of summer. That's obviously not as prevalent now, but I heard a discussion on the analyst test during Countdown as well around how the synergy with Kaiwing and the unlocked or wider champion pool is really going to diversify and open up options for PSG.
Yeah, he has the Ashe, he has the Kalista on his belt, so they definitely have a lot more flexibility. D came in, he played a bit of Jhin, a bit of Senna. But Unified, I think the whole key thing for Unified now being back with Kaiwing is it gives Kaiwing more confidence, right? He knows his AD carries limits. It's not like with D where he's unsure what he's going to do or if he's going to be safe on the weak side or if he's able to roam. Now he knows Unified well. Now he knows when I can roam, when I can push, when I can go for these all-ins because Unified's going to be right behind me. So I'm expecting this bot lane to be much more of a pressure point for the side of PSG. Maybe something you can play through if Hanabi is defaulting to the champs like the Ornn. But yeah, this mid jungle of PSG I think is the key. They really need to step up. They're subbed in from HQ. The set, the Echo did work for them. They did find some success on the Oriana as well, but they need to get good champions and they need to play well.
I mean, that set in Echo was just insane.
Yep.
And if you are a PSG fan and you've got on board the PSG Talon hype train, if they win this game, they will either take the first seed and advance to groups if LGD win against UOL.
Yep.
And if UOL beat LGD, then it will be a tiebreaker game between PSG and UOL for first, for that automatic berth into the group stage. And at the worst case scenario, second seed, and therefore being able to watch at least your opponents play that BO5 in the knockout stage that takes place in the next 2 days.
That's crazy. We have so many tiebreakers that could happen. So many different possibilities. I mean, PSG, if they do get the first seed and they make it out of groups, and then imagine like PSG makes it out and LGD doesn't, for example, you're like, what's going on? So, I mean, there's so many crazy things happening at the start of Worlds 2020. There's so many different things happening.
What I'd love to say as well is this is, of course, Kadril and my first cast on camera live together. And of course, we have the technical pause.
That's all right. More time with you. I love it.
The benefit is we've spoken so much about these teams and about these players. We do get to share some of those things with everybody at home. I do have some more assets, though. Our production team is feeding us some more clips and highlights. I believe we have some Kaiwing footage that we're going to pull up in just a moment. And again, obviously, because of the fact Unified is back today and playing with Kaiwing, I mean, he has pretty much smurfed the last couple of games.
Dude, this play was crazy. The fact that he managed just to live this 2v2, and just throughout this entire game, he was hitting so many bottles. You can see in this play, D just gets the heal in on the last auto. He just about lives. It's crazy.
It's so insane. And this like started the hype because we talked about how, I remember in the pregame for this, you and I were actually on the analyst desk with Machine, and we were saying how if Kongyue and Uniboy can push their duo strengths to the other lanes, that can be what unlocks. So I didn't think it was going to happen, but it did.
Look at that team fight synergy. Uniboy 3-man ult, Kaiwing instantly reacts, jumps on the backline, and they take down LGD. The team fight comp that they ran, the Graves, Ornn, and Rakan, the Bard was going well for Kaiwing as well, and PSG, they're looking good. But on the other hand, I think V3 needs to step it up a little bit. I've seen some signs of hope from them, but something that they were known for is their aggression, the level 1s, just going in deep, looking for the crazy plays. I mean, Bugi in playoffs had 27% damage dealt to jungler. And if you're a jungler and you have 20% damage dealt, that's mind-blowing. I don't get it.
Yeah, it really, really is. And like you said, for V3, let's see what Bugi can do. His Lily has found itself banned a huge amount. And this is also a team that when you look at the LJL, they were much more snowbally, much more stompy during the course of the regular season, and that kind of slowed down or tapered off in playoffs. It's actually a trend that we've seen with a lot of teams here in, play-ins, that playoffs, a few stumbles, a few changes to the meta started to impact the team.
Exactly. I think the biggest thing for me, the meta change, was people thought Renekton Nidalee was the strongest thing, and then people came in with the answer of Ornn and stuff like Shen. So things kind of got spicy in the jungle. There was like Graves, Lilia, Nidalee, Evelynn, Hecarim. People are still trying to figure out what the best scaling junglers are. We haven't seen any set jungle yet, not a single game, when even in LEC playoffs, Jankos was just first picking it every single time it was open. So there's been lots of meta shifts. I'm definitely favoring the Ornn side of things. I feel like when one team has Ornn, they're just in such a good spot because you can dive the Ornn, you can stop him getting his Ruby Crystals, but he's still going to press R.
So let's zoom out a little bit. How much has the meta surprised you? Because one of the things, again, on day one, we had Kadril's meta picks, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you definitely went with a safe option, but every single brave option that you talked about came true, right? And, has there been anything else that surprised you?
I feel like the AD carry meta hasn't changed. We'll start with AD carry. I think AD carry hasn't changed too much. We're seeing some Ashe, Jhin, Senna. I think the only sort of curveball we've seen is UOL, the Swain, stuff like the Ziggs, the Orianna bot. Things like this are the only kind of mages we've seen. I think that's something that could pop up in the main event, because if you do pick something like the Senna, you can pick a mage, get the push. The Pantheon supports has been a little bit prevalent. I think the melee supports are kind of taking over right now, apart from Rakan and Thresh. Those are the main ones. But across the top side, it's still, do I play carry top? Do I play carry jungle? Do I play Lucian mid? Do I play a mage? Do I play Galio? And we've seen some Lulus. What do they want to play? I don't know.
So it hasn't stabilized yet.
Yeah,
okay.
It's all over the place right now.
What I would love to see is when we get to the group stage, what the teams waiting in groups will take away from it. Obviously, what's happening in the scrim schedule, we're not too sure, but there will be an impact. I do have an update for everyone at home. As teams were completing ready checks, V3 reported peripheral issues to the league officials, and after investigating the issue, it has been resolved. We are preparing for picks and bans very shortly, and as I can see, the tech crew still on stage. Let's carry on talking about the meta here a little bit, and maybe let's focus in. Do you see any priority picks or anything particular that could impact this matchup?
Another sort of surprise I've seen is the Caitlyn prio. I think Caitlyn did get the base AD nerf. She did get a little bit of a move speed nerf as well the patch before, and I think that the champ itself was such a first pick, first ban across the entire world. But as soon as we come to Worlds, I feel like perhaps the scrim results, all these teams kind of scrimming each other internationally and stuff like this, maybe the Caitlyn prio has fallen off. I mean, Ashe and Jhin are good answers to it. And
do you think it's too extreme a change? Because Caitlyn's almost non-existent, right? We were expecting or anticipating a little bit more.
No, I think the reason Caitlyn isn't being played too much, and my theory behind it, is the fact that you play through solo lane so much in the early game that you get your mid ahead to get the push to move the sides, or you get your top ahead if you're playing something like the Renekton Nidalee. So when you have Caitlyn, if you have to play a weak side Caitlyn, the game's already lost, right? You need to play strong side Caitlyn, you need to play strong side bot, and to get that, you need something like an Ornn or a Shen. So it depends on how flexible your top side is to pull out the Caitlyn. You need to keep the bot push, you need to get a good counter pick support. So if you do first pick the Caitlyn, for example, and the enemy team responds with an Ashe, and it's really hard to just blind something like the Morgana, they can go Karma, it's really hard to actually get the counter pick on support. So the only real value is Caitlyn on red side, but even then, you could still go for something like the Jhin, just play weak side and just play towards your top and get Herald. I
just love the fact that it does feel like there's a lot of options.
Yeah.
At the time being, we're still seeing so many different really champions across the board, from top through support. And maybe like the themes are the same, like we're saying melee supports, for example. We're seeing a bunch of like AP junglers for the time being. So I am very interested to see and hope that trend will continue. Let's touch on very briefly the UOL bot lane. You talked a lot about, obviously, Caitlyn. We've seen Senna. We've seen Ashe. What about the Orianna? What about the Swain?
Man.
I think Machine and Amazing and Yamato were talking about it on Countdown, but do you think this is just because of the players, just because of Gadget and UOL? Or do you think there is a meta reason that maybe we'll see more?
I think Gadget is very, very good at these mages. Swain, Ziggs, we've seen so many different mages from Heimerdinger, we've seen in the LCL and stuff. So, I mean, if you look at the draft, they kind of, if you remember the game against, I think it was V3. V3, they went for an early rotation Orianna, so they first won to the Orianna, and it's on red side. So you have an Orianna flex, which it's not a flex, it's not happening. And then they picked,
well, it is.
Yeah, and then they picked Galio Karthus, and no man's much just said, man, hey Gadget, if you play that Orianna bot and just clear waves and play weak side, lock me my cast and I'll carry, and then, well, he did it. So props to him. So, man, I think the Ziggs is a mage which lots of AD carries can play, but when it comes to like Swain, Orianna, stuff like this, I mean, we even saw sometimes in New Masters there was Hjarnan playing Galio AD, he was playing Jhin mid, and his mid lane was playing Galio AD Knight, so people really want to spice up the meta, and I think it all comes down to draft. If you have the last pick and you have a really crazy counter pick, then you can maybe pull it off.
What I love about this, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody else, is if we see a Jhin mid and a Galio bot, you heard it here first, okay? It happened in EU Masters. Hjarnan, with the Hjálmadinger, he is going to claim dibs on that in terms of the impact. Kadriel said it on air, so that will be the world first. Of course, we need to go all the way down the rabbit hole. And once again, just an apology to everybody who is at home waiting for the game. So are we. There was that peripheral issue that was reported by V3, and I think I can see a lot of the tech stuff making their way off stage. So I don't have any concrete updates for you as of yet, but the moment we do, we will be jumping into picks and bans. And for PSG, this game is crucial. A win will at minimum guarantee a tiebreaker game for the first seed. At minimum, guarantee a shot at groups.
Here we go.
And that is it. We are into draft for game 3 of day 3 of play-ins stage. Straight out the gate, Nidalee finds herself in the ban.
Yeah, I'm expecting a Lilia ban too, perhaps even an Ashe ban from the side of PSG. Lilia is one of the most strongest champs for Bugi, so they ban Nidalee, they ban Evelynn. Is it going to be a third jungle ban? Perhaps. And I'm expecting V3 to respond with maybe an Echo ban or a Graves ban, something to shut down Kongyue, because these are the most successful champions.
What do you make of blue side Lilia bans? Because for the most part, I've seen it red side, but just infrequently every now and again, some teams are banning it blue.
Yeah, Kongyue hasn't shown us any Lilia yet, so if he does feel comfortable in the champ, I would expect it to be first picked. I expect it to be banned away, and then V3 respond with something like an Echo or a set ban. Look for something like the Ashe first pick. So the set ban does come in, but they're the ones banning it themselves.
How much of a gamble is it if you do not ban Lilia now on V3 side to give that to Kongyue, seeing what impact Kongyue and Uniboy have had on this game?
It's an Ashe or a Lilia ban, I think. Or you could trade them both, right? It depends on which one you prioritize the most. So it could be a Lucian ban as well, so you could just go for the 1-1 trade.
There's so many picks.
But I'm just surprised that PSG ban away the set. That's something that they were playing, right? The set, the Echo, so it's a bit of a different storyline there, so we'll have to see. They do ban the Lilia, so I'm expecting something like the Ashe, the Lucian, these kind of champions coming out. Even Ornn has been such a prevalent champion. I think first picking Ornn is not a bad idea. Okay,
let's see what PSG decide to go with. Hanabi, of course, will be locking in the first champion for the squad. And with so many picks that are sort of high priority, it will indicate just a direction this team wants to go. Also remember that Unified is back in the roster, and very good call. Ornn is locked in.
Now Archer has been, for me, one of the best Ashes in playing so far, so I wouldn't be surprised if they go for the 1-2 Ashe. Renekton's still open. You don't have many AP junglers open. When you do play Renekton, you do want to play an AP jungler. You don't want to play something like Renekton Lee Sin. I think it just doesn't work together as well. So they could respond with top here. They could go for an early mid pick as well, something like a Mage or a Galio or something like this. So they are going to go for the Ashe. So I'm expecting something like a top pick here as well. Just counter the top, leave third pick for a counter pick when they do choose something on the 2-3.
What I like about this so far, though, is, Kadriel, you've got your finger in the pulse of the world's meta. You talked about Ashe, you talked about Ornn, how they are very, very important, especially in the context of the bans. So there is the Ashe locked in. Now, Unified, as he's back with Kaiwing, I do want to ideate, what would you like to kind of see running into this Ashe? You know, what options are available?
Well, we've seen the Kalista from the side of Unified, but I don't think that's so good. So they do pick the Renekton to your own. Pretty smart choice, I think, there. The Senna still open, the Jhin, so I would expect one of those to be picked away, because if they don't get picked now, I think it's going to be banned out, unless he has something like the Ezreal up his sleeve, or even a Mage. Maybe he's been hiding a Mage from us, but I doubt it. So the Senna comes through, as to be expected. Now, Uniboy, he can pick up a mid laner here, or they can look for a jungler. I think picking support now is a bit risky, unless it's something like the Nautilus or the Thresh. I think it could get counters, because they do have the 3 pick for the support on the side of V3, but an expected draft so far, I'd say.
Okay, not too surprising. You can see both Senna and Ornn, by the way, 100% win-loss throughout the course of play-ins. I know that Ornn, 4 games picked, 4 victories secured. There's only been 13 games played, and if this Kindred does get locked in, it will be the second time for today. It's one of those champions that does have a number of sort of counters into it. And we were talking backstage, especially with Amazing, around how you can shut that pick down.
Now, will he go Elise again? He has shown us an Elise game. They could go for the Renekton Elise. I think it is really strong. I mean, their only win is with the Elise, so I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that. So that looks like they're hovering Galio. I mean, if they do pick Galio, I'm expecting mid bans, and then look for a last pick support, 4-pick jungle. Something like this would be good. But the normal counters to Kindred, are the Kazakhs. AP junglers normally are kind of banned out, so you can't really go for those. So they are going to go for the Galio. So I'm expecting 2 mid bans here against Uniboy.
Okay, 2 mid bans, and then I'm just going to throw it out there. Galio could maybe go support.
He could.
I'm expecting it. I'm expecting it mid,
but Ace has been a really good Galio player. It's been one of his best champions so far in the PCS. So.
Yeah, exactly. Ace from the LJL, of course, from V3.
Yeah,
but I've got it in my head that because of how crazy some of these drafts have been, anything that could be flex, I'm keeping it in mind.
Fun fact: Ace was 5-0 on Galio in the LGL,
so he's going to be
good
getting
pick up by him. So yeah, the mid bans come out. There's the Raina. Could see something like a Syndra as well, just to make sure Galio has the best matchup possible. And the side of PSG, perhaps some jungle bans here to free up the Kindred.
Also, how safe are both of these drafts thus far? You've got some team fight, you've got some sort of long-range, non-committal engage in the Ashe or the Ornn ultimate. You can go team fight, there's also some pick. Like, they're looking well-rounded thus far. How do you want to see the teams sort of, closing out with Ornn and Karthus finding themselves?
I think we're going to see a double team fight here, comp here. The Galio can play over side, but if they were to put the Galio support and pick something, maybe like a Camille mid, you could play 1-3-1. I don't expect really anything like that, anything sort of pulled out like that. So I'm definitely expecting teamfight comps here. Northless, Leona, melee supports, perhaps a Rakan or a Thresh for the side of PSG. The Bard ban does come out, so I'm expecting... Is that going to be a Brown pick? Because they have got the Ornn. They could look for the Ashe Brown comp.
I love the Kaiwing Bard ban. I'm seeing the impact that he's had thus far. And like you said, I mean, Braum into that bottom lane, very good. Into the Ornn, help a lot. Karthus was the other option. And we need to see what Archer will be running in the jungle coming up. Correction, Bugi will be running in the jungle there up against Kongyue.
So they do ban away the Elise, which I expect to pick on 3. Renekton Elise is not very good in this meta, but a couple of years ago it was a very strong dive comp. Last year,
I remember well.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, Elise Renekton is as old as time. And if the Leona gets locked in, it won't be quite as sort of defensive as the Braum, obviously. But that support counter pick.
Is that Sylas top? Or is that Sylas jungle?
Sylas mid, Galio support.
It could be Sylas jungle as well. I mean, there's almost 5, there's sort of like 5 AP junglers banned out here.
Do you like Sylas jungle on this patch?
No, it's horrible. You can't clear your camps. It's horrible, especially into Kindred. So I'm expecting that to be a Sylas top. Keep the Galio flex alive, so they are going to go for the Rakan, as expected. Really good engage. Not a bad lane phase, so...
If that's Sylas top, Renekton mid, Galio support, but like this is the problem I have with V3's comp. There's too many options. The professional response, ladies and gentlemen, from Cadril is, bruh.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see. They have 2 flexes here. I mean, Renekton mid could happen. It depends on what PSG pick. If they pick up something like the Syndra, which I expect to be banned away alongside the Orianna, then I doubt the Renekton's going mid. I'm expecting Galio to go mid here now, and then the Sylas going top into Ornn. They're going to last pick jungle, but what? No, no, it's going to be Sylas jungle, please.
Okay, so tell me why you don't like Sylas jungle. You talked a little bit about how he can't clear effectively, and we will get a few seconds to find this out in a moment.
I think it's Sylas jungle. The problem with Sylas jungle is you need a heavy leash. If you get invaded level 1, you are... Yeah, you're going to be really far behind. I mean, Sylas jungle really spikes on his Runic Echo spike. I think when he has that item, he is a good jungler. When he has the Runic Echoes, he's really strong.
Okay.
But we are looking at a Sylas jungle here. The only problem with Sylas is the early clear is not very good. Neutral objectives are very hard. And it is a Sylas jungle.
All right.
Damn, I'm excited, honestly. I love Sylas jungle. Last year, I loved it. I always liked to 1-2 it when it was strong, but nowadays the clear is very, very poor. So, I mean, it gives a lot for PSG to play with. They have so much early game pressure now, just based on the fact that the Sylas' clear is not going to be as fast as Kindred.
Put this then into perspective. Of course, you've got the wave clear from the Galio. You've got the lane pressure of the Renekton that's going up against the Syndra and the Ornn. So if Bugi on the sides needs to be protected early, it feels like the V3 comp has that capability if they execute well.
Yeah, I mean, they have the Ashe for engage. They're going to have the Ornn ult from the side of Sylas as well. I don't think there's any other hugely good ults apart from perhaps the Kindred or the Senna. The Rakan ult can help if you do get stuck in there, but the Ornn is basically what the Sylas is targeted at. I think it helps with the engage, it helps with the Ashe. They have the Galio ult for the Renekton over side lane, so I think regardless of the side lane push, this is going to be a teamfight comp. I'm expecting Ashe or Leona ults to come out, just instantly engage onto their front line, and wow.
You would call that a meatball comp, as it were. Like, everybody with the exception of Ashe wants to be running into the faces of PSG from V3. Now, let's turn our attention to V3. They've got that Syndra in the mid lane. They've got the Ornn, the Kindred, the Senna. There is some time that needs to come in, maybe for every lane, maybe accept that Syndra, you know, get some items up, farm up some stacks on the Senna. How do you expect PSG to play the game out, and what are their win conditions?
Well, they have got good early mid push into the Galio. They have a winning jungle matchup early as well. The bot push is contested, I'd say, but they have Ornn into Renekton, so you can either have two choices here. You play through mid, so the Syndra Kindred shut down the Galio as much as possible, because I think their 2v2 mid jungle is definitely favored for the side of PSG. And you can use that pressure to sides. Do you want to go use your mid jungle prio at the top to defend the Ornn to make sure you can get the push, or do you want to use it to bot to maybe look for some threat and some dives, make the Ashe do some CS? So PSG have a lot to play with, whereas the side of V3, I think your mid lane might be getting pushed in. You have to play for the Renekton early to get him ahead so that the mid game fights he can pop off. But if you have a losing mid jungle matchup, it's going to be a bit difficult. So they have to pull something out, I think.
Well, let's see execution. What I really like is you've got slightly different focuses on both sides of the rift.
What I would love to see is Raina on the Leona just like push out 3-wave spot and just base and run top or something. Just something crazy like this is what they need to do, I think, to unlock the game through top. Otherwise, stall games out, drop a couple neutral objectives, get Sylas to 6, take the Ornn to look for some Herald fights, perhaps.
Oh, man. Okay, let's see what happens in terms of the opening minutes of gameplay. Just a reminder, if you want that 5-game 5-team tie and 4 tiebreaker games, you are a fan of V3 right now. And if you want to see PSG one step closer to the group stage, a PSG win will guarantee them at a minimum a tiebreaker game for first.
Now, Trevor, I've done some research here, and Bugi has played one game of Sylas jungle.
How did it go?
He had a KD of 24 and he won. So
that's pretty exceptional.
I can see the reasoning behind it. There was 5 AP jungle bans. You know, you had like Lilia, Nidalee, Elise, Karthus. All these champs were banned out. So he went for the Sylas. It is an AP jungle. You do need an AP jungle with Renekton. I think that's rule number 1 of Renekton. You're breaking the law if you pick Renekton Lee Sin. We saw it earlier today. I didn't like it at all. So the AP jungle does come out eventually. It was kind of the last one he had, apart from something like a Gragas perhaps. But if it's his comfort, respect. He should just go for it.
And I also think when you look at the options for ultimates that he can hijack, you know, Ornn ultimate, Kindred ultimate, Syndra, I mean, even Rakan, you could argue that the Dawning Shadow is maybe the least exciting, but even that, in the context of a team fight comp where if you have the rest of your squad going forward, there are a lot of tools that he can play with if he can get that hijack in the right place at the right time.
And the Senna ult helps for sides, right? You have the Galio, Renekton goes all in, the Galio ult comes out. Sylas is just doing Herald or something, just pops his Senna ult across the map. So I'm excited to see how he uses it. I mean, I will give some warnings here. Sylas jungle clear is, I think it is one of the slowest junglers in the meta to actually clear camps. He gets very, very low. Sometimes you need he's definitely going to need a big leash. So they're going to know where he starts as well. So let's see how Kongyue plays around it.
So once we get into the game, let's focus very heavily on this matchup in the jungle. The Kindred versus the Sylas. Let's take a look at what Kongyue on that Kindred can do, because it has been him and, in my eyes, Uniboy, who have had such a heavy hand in the victories that PSG have been able to string together. But their composition with that Kindred jungle, Syndra mid, that can be what can be pushing into the Galio early, get pushed into the jungle if they can get past that Windsor.
Yeah, they need to play with each other like properly here. They've got the Syndra, they've got the Kindred. They have been on AHQ together, so they are very strong mid jungle. They've been together for a while, so what they need to do, what I want to see is maybe gank mid early, try and get Ace's flash, push him in as far as possible, and then go into the jungle, try to find Bugi, shut him down. Use the Syndra as well. It's sort of like your tool to shut him down as well, and then just keep giving each other favors, right? Kindred ganks mid, Syndra goes and helps you shut down Bugi, so we'll have to see how they play it, but that's exactly what they need to do.
Well, thank you so much for waiting with us, and apologies about that delay earlier before picks and bans. We are finally onto the Rift for PSG Talon taking on V3 Esports. I'm going to quickly look down the summoner spells, and I can see 2 teleports a piece. Not seeing anything too crazy.
Predator Galio.
Thus far, and that is what caught my eye. Predator Galio, what does it tell you about his expectations?
Oh, he wants to drop waves and run sides. I think you're expecting, I mean, you could expect Ace to drop a mid wave or 2. Just make sure when he got his boots early, just run top, run bot, look for these dives. So he will have push in top. I expect him to have push in bot as well with this Ashe Leona. So their mid lane's definitely where PSG needs to play through. I think it's their only real reliable way, source of sort of prio. So Ace, if he can free himself up, maybe look for a TP bot, level 6 ult bot, or just try to get an early roam, then he can definitely... The way Ace wants to play it basically is make sure one of his sides is winning so hard enough, perhaps even V3 gets early first blood, then Raina can move to mid on cooldown basically, so Kaiwing stuck under his tower, so then Ace can push the wave. So it's all like a buddy system essentially. So V3, they need to play to help Ace this game, I'd say.
You make it sound so easy.
Well,
But that does come down to the execution, and you did mention the very heavy leash. So if you see Bugi on the map, he currently has some support from Paz, the Renekton, in that northern quadrant. It does look like it's matched by Kongyue and Hanabi. They're starting blue buff, and it does look like Bugi's going to get that very heavy leash.
Yeah, he needs a very, very heavy leash in this jungle. Sylas clearly not the best. So normally what Sylas do is they go red Golems Raptors or red Raptors into bot side to get that early level 3. So I'm expecting Bugi to just kind of clear his camps as much as possible early here. Try to take as little damage as possible as well, so he can sustain as much as he can. But I'm expecting early base from Bugi, buy the machete, and then carry on. As we see Ace's runes there, the Predator.
Exactly. I love the fact that the production team are showing us the runes. And now we need to judge how effective it works out, right? Keep an eye on when he pops that Predator eventually, what impact it does have. And if he can get either Paz or Archer so far ahead that they can then start to unlock the rest. Because one of the things you did mention was Raina, push the waves out, early back, and then just go gank a lane with that Zenith Blade.
That's what I'd love to see, the LPL special, you know, have a level 1 fight around mid, why not? So, yeah, V3 having the bot push, I think they have the top push too. And Bugi, he does go Red Raptors Wolves, so he won't get level 3 from this camp, so he does need to do one more. So Kongyue could punish that, but Archer will spot him out.
When will be the first time that you expect Kongyue and Bugi to maybe interact with one another?
Well, Kongyue could run into his jungle now, but the problem is Ace actually did get the mid push. He is looking for a mid gank. This is exactly what I wanted to see. So he is looking in, they have no vision, but Ace looks kind of safe.
Justice Punch backwards. We'll get a couple of autos here from Kongyue, the Dance of Arrows as well. That's another one. Manages to chuck out Wolf, and Ace escapes, no flash blow.
Playing through mid, exactly what I like to see. He didn't go for the invade on Bugi because of the bot push. Raina can instantly move, and a level 2 Leona is quite deadly. So Bugi is looking here. He's pinging on the way. Maybe Raina moves up. He can fight him here. All right,
Bugi's going to get some damage down using those chains. Drops Kongyue to 300 HP, but backs away. Uniboy had the first move, so was no support coming from the mid lane for V3.
V3's bot lane's moving though, and this is the stack for the side of Kongyue. So Raina, that's the bot push coming out here. They're going to have first power on this crab, and Uniboy needs to push in mid. Ace can always respond in base and TP if there is a fight, so good play from the side of V3, using that bot push into mid to make sure they secure the early crab. And now Bugi, does he want to go through mid and take the other crab as well? He could do that, or he can move into the bot side and look for like a 4-man dive if Ace wants to TP down.
Let's take a look at the time being. Bugi's going to make his way over the wall, jumping in towards the Krugs. Kongyue is going to use that Dance of Arrows. This is now going to turn into an exchange. Smite has already been chucked out. Bugi starts to back away. Double buffs for Bugi. He's going to flash defensively, and he gets pushed out of the jungle.
I think Bugi's thought process was Kongyue losing the crab. He expected him to go towards the top side crab. You can see he's pinging it now. So he thought Kongyue went top side to get the opposite crab. But so he thought he could take his golems, maybe look for a 4-man bot play. But now the double TPs from the side of the mid laners coming in here. They're going to push the mid wave in.
Damage. Very good push back there from Uniboy, sort of expecting it or aware of it. So Ace cannot connect with the taunt, and Uniboy backs out without taking any damage.
Good response from Bugi here. Instantly reacts from Kongyue being bot side. Goes for the top crab. Ace TPs in to help him out. So this will be Kindred's other stack. You see, if one crab dies and it's Kindred's stack and the other one lives, then the stack will eventually go to the other crab if it stays alive. So Kongyue losing another stack here, and Bugi's doing pretty well overall. Kongyue hasn't been able to punish him because of the pushing lanes and bot, and Bugi is going to get his jungle item for free here. He's not going to get punished.
Okay, so you're getting a little bit more excited about the Syndra, the Sylas rather, from the jungle. I mean, was that early game or was the early clear that you were nervous about? There is still a flash here for Ace. Yep. No support from Bugi. Managed to get the Justice Punch off once again. Flash blown. That's the chase forward and taken down. First blood PSG.
Good play from the side of Kongyue. He's identified how to unlock this game. Both sides are pushing in, go through mid, try to get the mid push. Ace didn't have to flash earlier. He had to flash now, and he died. He doesn't have TP either, so he's going to lose a huge wave. So PSG needs to use this mid jungle prior to sides, try and get the push there, and then look for these early objectives.
And this is exactly what you were setting up during the draft, K-Drill. Kongyue and Uniboy combo together, the Kindred Syndra, punish the Galio.
Paz TP'd in.
Now Paz TP'd into the mid lane. There's no flash for Kongyue. He's going to try to get run down. Ruthless Predator will connect with a stun. Bugi needs to find the chains, will not be able to do so. And Kongyue is able to escape. Paz may have lost a few CS there in that top lane, as it looked like the wave was crashing into his tower.
Yeah, he lost the wave there. He thought he could catch Kongyue, no flash, greeting for those Raptors, but now PSG is in such a good spot. They've got a 1,000 gold lead. They got the first blood on the side of Kongyue. I'm not sure if that was his stack or not, but Hanabi has TP advantage now, so Hanabi can look for these early TPs bot. If V3 push too far into bot side, like they have been doing for the first couple levels, if PSG can get a ward behind them and a TP comes in, I'm expecting there to be a couple kills down there, so V3 needs to be very aware of the TP advantage, and Paz needs to keep the push up. Maybe he can cancel him here and there. Okay,
let's keep an eye then on how this plays out. Ace, as you mentioned, is now back in that mid lane, moved his way down, pushed a couple of wards, very deep vision here for V3. There's that control ward just outside the red pit of PSG's southern jungle, and immediately Bugi's making his way back, and here's this replay of that mid lane gang.
Yeah, you can see Kongyue dashes forward, gets the E on him, so he's slowed, and then flash forward. Kindred damage in the early game is really, really high, and it's good that they both committed their flash there to make sure they got the first blood. So now, how can they use that? Kongyue's got double longsword, Bugi still hasn't based, so his tempo meter is kind of in the pavement here. I think Kongyue is going to give over the blue buff, make sure he can keep up the mid push, so... Can they look for these early dragons? They have TP advantage, that's definitely something they can look for. Or do they want to look for an early swap and try and get the Herald? So Kongyue is looking topside now.
There may not be the most optimistic flash and Dominus for Paz's Renekton. Not exactly the most diveable of champions.
Is he looking for an invade here?
Although to be fair, with a Hanabi with access to that call the forward card.
Bugi expects this.
Level 5 be level 5. Bugi's going to step forward. Wolf is once again fired out as Kongyue starting off the Brambleback. Look at the minimap. Both top laners going to be fighting inside the Tribush. Bugi level 5 against Kongyue's level 5. Hanabi takes a lot of damage from Paz's Renekton, and the Blast Cone over the wall pushes Bugi to safety. That's a reset on the Brambleback. Look at the minimap. Again, PSG, the ones pushing forward because of the Syndra early power.
Yeah, I don't think they can win this 3v3 early. I think Bugi's not that strong. I mean, the double longsword on Kongyue means his damage is so high, and Syndra pulling over the red buff for Kongyue here. He's going to get the next crab as well, so he's going to deny the stack. He's going to get the stack, sorry, the stack just spawned, so Kongyue is picking up a stack here, so he's in a good spot. So now, Drake's still up, Herald's coming up now as well. There's only a TP for the side of PSG, so how do they want to play the map? V3, they have huge bot push. Do they want to use it? Do they want to look for an early Drake, trade it for the Herald? Do they want to push in his bot wave base and go towards top side, be first on the objective? But PSG still playing through mid here, I like it.
And Ace currently has no flash available. Does have that ultimate, and Bugi was relatively nearby. But a 500 gold difference, that's that big advantage that PSG picked up thanks to the first blood. Has not ballooned just yet, but take a look at the mid lane. Uniboy's up 20 CS over Ace's Galio. Repeated ganks, repeated pressure from Kongyue, invades from Uniboy into the jungle of V3. This is how PSG have won their games previously. That duo, mid duo, moving the pressure elsewhere. And if you look at the minimap again, by the way, Ace just about to get solo. Uniboy dunks Ace.
Man, that's gonna hurt. Whew. No flash, he gets stunned up, and the Scout of the Week comes out and he just gets popped. So Uniboy is playing so well around this. Do they want to use this mid push into Drake now? I think they have a really good window for it. They have TP as well, so V3 basing here. I think Archer's gonna have to go back and catch the wave. I don't think he can go towards Herald just yet. And I like the vision control from PSG. They've got really good ping setup.
Beautiful, beautiful play here from PSG. The solo kill onto Galio, no less. Merc treads were just picked up, and we're actually getting a picture-in-picture replay. I mean, this is just like get hit by skill shots, die.
He's playing dodgeball with him under the tower. He hit 2, then he goes for the third one, I believe, gets the stun as well, and just pops his full combo on him. And Ace not respecting the damage dealt there. He does use the W to try and reduce the damage coming in, but well played from Uniboy. He's using the matchup really well. He got the punish from the side of Kongyue as well, and he's playing it so well, but they're looking at a top dive here. Ace has ult, so it's going to be a 3v1. There's no TPs on Uniboy.
Hero's entrance, hijack as well. Boogie's going to look for the hijack. Call the Forge Guard is available. We might see double. As there comes the Hero's entrance. That's a great knock-up from Hanabi.
Bugi has tower aggro.
Boogie's going to go down. It's a 1-for-1 trade, and it should not have gone down that way.
Oh, it's a horror 1-for-1 against the Ornn. No, it's a disaster. I mean, Ace does pick up the kill, so it's going to help him out in the lane phase, but he's going to lose mid waves, and the fact that V3 used all their tempo topside means that they're going to lose Herald as well. Mid's pushed in. Kaiwing's coming up, so they've lost Drake, they've lost Herald, they went 1-for-1 against the Ornn, so that's not what you want, and Bugi still hasn't picked up his runic echoes, and they're losing plates in mid as well.
This is terrifying. Nearly 10 minutes into the game, nearly 1,000 gold advantage. There is still the Rift Herald that can push even faster, will help with even more plates. That'll give you even more gold on the side of PSG. But we did say that both of these comps were kind of looking to do some team fights, and like, wow, Kongyue and Uniboy really just want to take over this game. Rift Herald summoned. That'll get at least a plate and a half.
You didn't see that there. All ultimates were used in bot side there. PSG and V3, all of the ultimates were blown. No combat summoners apart from Raina's flash. So there was a fight down there. It looked like PSG was favored, but PSG pick up this mid tower. It's going to crash on the second one as well, so Uniboy is unleashed. Oh, he just got it on the auto. Did you see that?
Very good, very good. Preventing that damage onto that inner turret. But Ace is down 25 CS, lost his mid tower already. That Predator Galio unlock to play around side lanes, that gameplay now changes drastically because you don't have control of the mid lane.
And it goes back to the draft, right? They third picked the Galio, they banned the Ornn. We discussed the Syndra ban as well, but they decided to go for the Bard, but it's kind of biting them in the butt now, right? The Syndra's taking over, he's got mid tower, he's a kill up, 20 CS like you said, so Uniboy picked up the Luna's Echo now, so he can just push in the waves and moves to sides wherever he wants, so Where's going to be the next objective for PSG? Is it going to be bot side? Is it going to be top side? I mean, playing into bot side is pretty good. You have the Rakan ult. Kongyue and the Uniboy can always move first, but Ace has TP, Paz has TP coming up as well, so it is a bit risky.
Put your head, into the minds of V3. This is potentially their last game at the World Championship. Potentially. If they lose this game, they are going to be looking at LGD and UOL to try and help them out. If they lose this game, and then LGD lose their game, it will end up being a tiebreaker for elimination. We could be in a V3 versus LGD tiebreaker for 4th and 5th.
That's scary.
That is one of the possibilities. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
But V3, they still have themselves like a shot. Yes, it's a 2,000 gold deficit, and yes, they are clearly behind the game this time around, but you can't deny the engaged power of Ashe, Leona, Galio, with Sylas as well. So there is 1 or 2 fights potentially where they can look for some opportunities, but they cannot make any more mistakes.
Yeah, they can definitely pull the trigger here. We can see Kongyue has decided to go towards the top side. Kaiwing does have a lot of move potential, so there is going to be a 3-man stack on top. Bugi gets engaged on. He does have the flash.
So much damage. Mounting Dread, Wolf Frenzy,
the flash.
as well as another solo kill. That's actually going to help out. I think Bugi managed to hijack the Kindred ultimate, gets 1 heal, gets a 2nd heal, right back into the fight. Here comes Paz, Slice, Dice, dominating Slice, and that's so much damage onto Hanabi. All of a sudden, 2 quick kills, and remember, Kongyue chased that. Kongyue pushed into Bugi, and he hijacked the Lamb's Respite.
Kongyue had so much damage on the side of Bugi, but I guess he didn't consider the fact that he could just take his ult and ult himself and just keep himself alive, and then Kongyue was way too far forwards. Paz came in with the TP, and he was around the side and just managed to pick up the kill, so that's a double kill for the Renekton, and he's going to get loads of plates, so a win condition achieves for the side of V3. Play to the Renekton. They have some kind of win condition now.
Unbelievable. Kongyue, it looked so good. I think for a half a second, I expected Paz to just go down after the Dance of Arrows, but he didn't.
Yeah, I mean, they have really good mid-push here. You can see them moving together. Kongyue waits for Uniboy. He steps forward. He just about sees Bugi and then lands the E, lands the Red Smite. He has got Warrior in this engage, so he has so much damage. And then you can see Paz's TP on the minimap on that pink on the red buff. Bugi takes the Kindred ult, pops it himself. Kongyue has to pop himself. Looks like a pair of eyes. And then Paz comes in from the side, takes out Kongyue, and then Hanabi is stuck on his own. It's a kind of like a 1v3. Ace around the side with the TP as well. He's looking to get into the fight, so double kill for the side of Paz, but double TP used. So that means PSG's bot lane could get something out of that.
All right, 3 assists for Bugi, 2 kills for Paz. He's already got the Blade of the Rune King completed. He's got a marginal CS advantage, but Ace on that Galio is currently sitting 30 CS down. Ace is still dead. I didn't see how he died during the course of that replay. I assume we may get an action
clip. Looks like Uniboy picked him up somewhere.
Or maybe our observers can just give us a brief update on how Ace died, and this is now the second dragon. PSG already in position, but it does look like V3 want to contest.
You can see Paz is dropping. He's dropped 2 top waves already and a plate just so he can be on time for this dragon.
That's the engage. Archer's forced to flash. He gets away with his life for now. Enchanted Crystal Arrow was dropped, and now PSG in full retreat. Raina looking for the Zenith Blade and the Shield of Daybreak, and that's the flash cleanse from Unified. Teleport advantage for PSG means they've got the numbers for now. This is a 5-on-3. Another Zenith Blade re-engage. Here comes the Hero's entrance. Massive slam. Hero's Justice Punch backwards as now Ace is running for his life. The Winter Voice simply didn't do enough. There's not enough damage. There's not enough follow-up. Here comes Paz. 1, 2. Ruthless Predator looking for a 3rd. Won't just find it. Now Paz is in the retreat. Once again, the winds are spat out, but the scatter, the weak will kill the meek. Ace runs for his life, and that's a knock-up into the air for Archer. He's in trouble. The volley, as well as the Ranger's focus. He gets another. 1, 2, 3 for 4 in a crazy fight in the bottom lane.
It's a 3 for 4 for the side of PSG. They had to invest double TP, and you could see Paz was dropping top waves to make sure he came in time, and he just got in the back end of the fight, flashed into the backline, managed to pick up 2 himself, and Trevor, that was a crazy fight.
This is, it's ridiculous, but it ends up being a 3,000 gold lead for PSG. During the course of that fight, I found out from the production team that it was a solo killer game, Uniboy taking out Ace onto Galio. That is what put him inside the fountain. He was able to run down and use that hero's entrance from the jungle.
And you can see Kaiwing tries to catch out Arch there. He does react in time with the flash, but then Raina once more. He knows Ace is in range. I think Ace is communicating here. I have Galio, just make sure you get in the backline. So the double TP comes in. It looks like they're backing off, but then Raina instantly turns, gets into the backline onto Unified. The Galio comes out. It lands on almost 3 people. They get so much damage in the backline. The Q follow-up. But look at Hanabi in the backline. He's tanking so much, CCing them up. Basically 3v1ing them in the backline, but then Paz comes in as well, does the same thing, goes 1v4, takes out 2 himself, and then it's just a 3v3 from here onwards. I mean, Paz, he does get Syndra ult, it does get taken down, and Ace with that E just about dodges the
You can feel the lack of damage and the lack of itemization there from Ace. He jumped into the fight, and the Winds of War did absolutely nothing. There was such a small amount of chip damage. And without Paz being there early on, it just meant V3 were in too big of a deficit. So that's the flash engage. Zenith played as well, followed by Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Ace gets knocked by, scattered by the weak. Then he chucks up the Winds of War. Archer manages to survive the high skill check press off from Uniboy. V3 get the dive, they get the kill. Blast cone over the wall from Bugi, but now he's in trouble from Hanabi. He's caught out, knocked out, got Call of Forge, got available. Gets a heal thanks to Kingslayer. Here comes Raina holding on to the Zenith Blade. 15 kills, 16 minutes, and these teams aren't done yet.
Yeah, V3's bot lane definitely stepping up here. They instantly pulled the trigger on Uniboy when he stepped up from mid-wave there. He had no flash, gets punished, and V3, although they did get the kill, they're not going to be able to get the Herald. It seems PSG have way too much tempo on the map. Unified and Kaiwing have come up, they've denied the Herald, and they're going to start it themselves. They should pick this up, and I'm expecting this tower to be used for tier 2s. This Herald to be used for tier 2, sorry.
As we step out of this Herald pickup, 3-1-2, Kongyue on his Kindred, 3-1-4.
Is he going Infinity Edge?
For Uniboy. And if Kongyue is going Eye Edge on this Kindred, tell me what you think of the build, Kadril.
Well, that's a new one. He's definitely going crit build. I'm expecting something like an IE, a Rapid Fire, or a Renan's. He's going full crit. I mean, you don't have a crit Senna, so why not be the crit yourself? I mean, respect. I mean, I was expecting something like a Black Cleaver, perhaps, but he has got double AP solo laners. The Senna will pick crit up eventually through her passive, so he's just going max damage. He's going full glass cannon. Yep, it's definitely an IE.
Unbelievable. Infinity Edge Kindred, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else for Kongyue.
I mean, they don't have much base armor, so it kind of makes sense. I like it.
Okay, so theory crafting, then what will be the cost here? I mean, if he uses the Lamb's Respite well, that can buy some time, and we've seen from these team fights, like, they are drawn out. There's a lot of people involved, and Hanabi will respect the potential dive. He's a level down to Paz. He will lose his tower. This is the first tower secured for V3. But we've seen again how these fights have played out. V3 down 2k gold, and whatever Ornn items which will be coming in soon, it will begin to balloon just how much of an advantage PSG has.
Yeah, V3 was able to do that play just because of the mid push. They have Archer, they have Raina in mid, and I think PSG's lane assignment isn't the best. They have Uniboy in mid, but he has no flash, so he can get caught out by an engage, but it does look like he's shifting into bot here. It looks like they're going to use the Herald for the tier 1 bot, but I'd like to see Unified and Kaiwing go into mid, try and contest the push from Archer, make sure they can't do these side lane plays, but PSG, good response, they do trade towers.
All right, trading towers means that PSG maintain the lead, maintain the advantage, maintain control. How did V3 bring themselves back into this game, Kadril? We've seen from the scrappy picks, we've seen they have the ability to blow someone up, but the follow-up from PSG has also been there to stop them as they continue to push.
Well, looks like they're going for a 1-3-1 setup here with Paz and Ace. PSG do have double TP coming up soon as well, so they can respond quite well over side lane plays, but I'd like to see V3 try and get the mid push, maybe punish any step-ups from Unified or Uniboy if they're catching the mid-waves, try and punish them by getting their cleanses or their flashes and then re-engage on them with the second use of the ults. Or Ace can look to push out these bot waves, run with Paz towards topside and try and get Hanabi.
As we're nearly 20 minutes in, this Predator Galio, if you were to give it a scorecard, if you were to review it, not worth?
0.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I really applaud the concept or the idea, but then when you get bullied so hard and you get beaten up in the middle, and again, all credit, Kongyue ganked multiple times, right? It's not like Ace just got completely dumpstered alone. There was multiple repeated attempts from PSG onto his lane.
I can see the idea of the Predator, making sure he can move to sides faster. It definitely makes sense. There are a few other options, perhaps like a Spellbook or an Aftershock if you're into a melee matchup, but looking at the game state now, PSG have 2 dragons. It's going to be a Mountain Soul, and they have an Ornn on their team, so that's definitely going to make him a raid boss if they do get this Mountain Soul, but Hanabi pushing the top wave is moving down. Ace is going to do the opposite. He's going to push in the bot wave and move up, so it's going to be a contested mid wave here. If PSG can get it in, then they're going to have the setup, which they do. So now V3 has to look to face check somehow.
10 seconds for that dragon. Hanabi waiting. His teleport available. Call the Forge God available. Paz will get himself rooted down. Paz picked up that Black Cleaver just a couple moments ago, and there is a potential pincer move here.
Don't think V3 can start it. They're a bit split up. Ace has the ult to rejoin, but they need to look for an engage.
They're down 3,000 gold. That looks like the engage coming out. Solar Flare will connect with one hero's entrance into no man's land. As the volley goes back with flash away from Archer, and the Dawning Shadow is fired on both sides as Bugi was able to steal that one. Mountain Drake is started, and Hanabi will go in for the knockup once again. volley and ranged poke being fired out from V3. They're sticking onto the dragon, and this may not be the best call.
Yeah, V3 has no ultimates. They blew all the ultimates to disengage or try and get a pick, but the pushback from Uniboy was great. They still have 2 ultimates themselves. They have the Lamb's Respite, they have the Syndra ult, so I'm definitely favoring PSG's positioning here.
This is very, very scary. Hex Flash over the wall coming up from Raina. That's already a kill into Paz, the most fed member of V3. They're trying to chase forward through the Lamb's Respite, but the heal's going to get every single person and the dragon. Defensive flashes from PSG, and over the wall they continue to hammer down. Raina gets taken out, and Kaiwing once again re-engages. V3 trying to make the last-ditch effort as it's a double kill for Kongyue. Make that another for Hanabi, the ace for PSG.
That's a 5-0 for PSG. They can move towards the Baron. I think V3 just used way too many ultimates in the first side of the engage, but when it came to the stare down on the dragon, V3 didn't have any go buttons. I mean, Raina dived on the backline, but they're all stacked up on the dragon. The Lamb's Respite just bought way too much time, and then PSG re-engaged onto the dragon pit. TP's coming in. I think that's a Baron and the 3rd dragon for the side of PSG.
PSG are poised to win the group. I will say that again. PSG are poised to win the group. If they close this game out, they either outright win the group if LGD take down UOL, or they face UOL for a first, second tiebreaker game if UOL beat LGD.
Who would have thought? And then
with substitutes.
That is crazy. Looking at this fight, Paz gets popped instantly. Archer is free hitting really nicely, and you think here, well, with the Lamb's Respite coming off, Archer can just free hit on the backline. But you look at Uniboy, hits 2 Qs. He's going to hit the stun as well. Picks up Unified there, and Archer, sorry. And then the fight's just kind of so scattered. Hanabi doesn't die from all the spells they blow on him. He lives on kind of 1 HP. Kaiwing escapes as well. Unified's also really low, and I just think that Lamb's Respite bought just way too much time. V3 had no ults to respond. They didn't have any re-engaged stuns. They didn't have any targets they could select, and it just looked a bit too messy.
Absolutely love the Flash Wolves ping there on the emote. Just reminding everyone of history along by. I mean, Kongyue and Uniboy, of course, they come from AHQ. They were substitutes. And frankly, from what I'm hearing, from what I'm seeing, these 2 individual players, stronger than the starters for PSG.
Oh, yeah.
And the performance that we've seen in groups, it will be a very interesting challenge and perspective to see how the groups play out, because those guys won't be able to play. And just so you know, Infinity Edge completed by Kongyue and upgraded by Ornn to the Molten Edge.
Yeah, if PSG do make it out of this, then I think River and Tankerine step up. Kongyue and Uniboy are playing so well this game, through mid and everything, and they're in a 4-1 setup here. Uniboy has TP. They're looking for a flank. The Ashe arrow does come down.
All right, here comes Ace. Hero's entrance is available. There's the Call of the Forge. Got a lot of damage being put down, but V3 inside the Lamb's Respite will buy some time. They get themselves the kill onto Unified. Now they turn their attention to Hanabi, who's still mostly untouched. Kaiwing looking for an engage as Raina now get taken out on the backside. Paz running for his life, and so is the rest of V3. Remember, they started the engage. Great damage onto Kongyue, but he's blown up by the Dark Sphere. Uniboy finds his 6th,
Triple.
finds his 7th. That's the 8th. Now turning his attention to Bugi as well as Paz. Can he find himself the pentakill? It's not going to be the easiest, as he's got to chase down Bugi. And just get a small heal. There's the engage, the dash away. Continues the chase, and Paz will be able to complete the recall. So the pentakill's not on the cards, but the quadra kill will be in just a moment or 2. Hijack available. And finally, Bugi goes down. It's Kongyue that steals it. What a scumbag denying the quad.
Wow, I mean, Uniboy and Kongyue are playing so good this game, especially in the fights. You could see PSG had a 4-1 setup there. Uniboy in towards the bot side, pushing in, waiting for his team to rotate down. But V3 just pulled the trigger. The Ashe arrow came in, and it looked like they kind of had the fight. I mean, the TP did come in from Ace from behind. They had a really good place to fight. They had really good area on the blue side, but I just felt like there wasn't enough. I mean, Uniboy popped Archer. He was killing everyone. Triple kill, almost a quadra kill.
Yeah, definitely. Looked like it should have been a quadra kill.
Yeah.
And PSG, the 2nd seed from the PCS, now have all the tools they need to close this game out. For V3, champions from the LGL from Japan. And China Crystal Arrow, let's see if he finds his man. No flash available for Uniboy. It wasn't it was too risky chasing into the dark.
Yeah.
For V3, this could be the last game, depending on the results of our next match, and I'll get to that in a moment or 2.
The Ashe arrow comes out, the Ornn from the side of Bugi there. Looks like they caught out Kongyue, but he QSS as he pops to Lamb's Respite again, and look at Ace on the backline. He tries to pick up Unified himself, but Unified runs around, buys loads of time. Uniboy comes in, and now Unified's dead. You think, well, maybe V3 can win this game. But look at Hanabi, dude. He's just sitting there 1v4, taking all the damage he wants, and Archer's really low. He's kind of out the fight. He can't really hit anyone. He tries to turn it a little bit with Ace here, but Uniboy comes around the corner, gets 1, gets 2. And then he chases down the 4th.
It was so good. I actually missed on my first call. That was Scat of the Week over the wall to tag Archer's Ashe and take him out. 9,000 gold. I mean,
Dragon Soul in 40 seconds.
Dude, if you are Unicorns of Love, even if you take down LGD, you then have a tiebreaker game with PSG. And that is an unenviable task, seeing how this game is playing out and the confidence that PSG are playing with.
Yeah, definitely loads of confidence, especially from their mid jungle. I mean, look at Kongyue, he's 2 levels up, 3 items Kindred. Man, he does so much damage right now.
Rapid fire cannon, high edge.
Yeah, it's a stopwatch as well to buy some time. Mikhail's for the stuns from the Ashe Leona, and the Dragon Soul is spawning, so V3 kind of needs to pull the trigger because I don't think they're going to be able to contest by Vision.
No, it doesn't feel that way. V3 have shown a willingness to fight. Mountain Drake is spawning 8 seconds. You can see Vision superiority for PSG as Kongyue is going to step forward. Lamb's Respite is available to him. And the flash engage from Kaiwing. He finds himself too. Call the Forge God helps set up the assassination onto Bugi. Raina will fall next. Ace running for his life. And this should allow PSG to turn towards V3's base. That should just be it.
I'm not sure if they can end. They can try, definitely. There's going to be 25 seconds on Raina and Bugi. Paz is going to be ace, and he has Archer to help him out there. So I think an Inhib and a Dragon is a safe option. They could go for the end. They still have the Syndra ult on the side of Uniboy, so if anyone steps forwards, they can get popped. But Kongyue flashes in.
Look at that engage. Flash chase forward. Still got the ultimate available. That's tower diving past the inhibitor.
It's over.
Archer's down. Paz follows. And the sad B for V3 as PSG will pick up their 3rd win. They are moments, milliseconds. They are so close to advancing to groups, and right now it just means taking out the final Nexus. Lamb's Respite comes up from Bugi as well as from Kongyue. Bugi goes golden for a couple seconds longer, and the 5-man stack of PSG continue the pressure. Now they turn their attention to Ace and to Raina. 30 seconds left before Paz. Correction, Bugi spawns. Paz up in 10. Archer up in 7. The dive is taking longer than expected. 2-man knockup. Raina's going to drop, and so does Ace for the ace. Nexus turret will fall. Nexus will be the focus. And PSG, the PCS's 2nd seed, take down V3.
And look at the mid-jungle of PSG, 10-1, 9-1. These are the substitutes, Trevor.
Unbelievable. By the way, the win moment flares, everybody flashing LGD. If LGD win against UOL in our next game, PSG top the group and guarantee them spots in the main group stage.
Who would have thought? PSG.
Nobody.
Almost, they're on the cusp of finishing first in their group, going straight through to group stage. This substitute mid-jungle, man, I've spoken about them a lot, but man, they are playing so good. From the Echo set to now the Syndra Kindred to the Graves Orianna, they're so flexible, they're playing so well around the map. They identified their win condition so well, play to mid, and that's exactly what they did. Ace didn't have any impact in this game.
River and Tank are going to have very big shoes to fill, because now the 5-way tie is officially dead. We only have 2 scenarios remaining. If UOL defeat LGD, we will have 2 tiebreaker games. UOL versus PSG for 1st, 2nd seed, and V3 versus LGD for 4th, 5th seed. If, however, LGD win, then we will have 0 tiebreaker games. But either way, this also locks in Rainbow 7 into the knockouts. They will guarantee themselves a best of 5.
That's crazy. I can't believe what's happening in this group. Mind blown.
I mean, literally, we're at a loss for words at the moment. I think all congratulations to PSG for the win. Now we turn our attention to LGD UOL. That's going to be the game that's coming up in a moment. And literally either 2 or 0 tiebreakers on the cards. So hopefully we get some games. I know you and I want them. Yeah,
and if LGD loses, they're in a tiebreaker to be knocked out of Worlds.
Yes, with the LJL, with V3 who just got really smashed by PSG.
Everyone thought LGD would finish first. If they finish last, what's happening? The script. Someone show me the script. I don't believe it.
I cannot wait to see what the Weibo reactions are going to be, but we need to see what happens with that. We are busy getting just a replay or something ready, so we'll have a moment to carry on breaking this one down. But now UOL, they also have to bounce back. Their draft earlier sucked. They got smashed by Rainbow 7. The 1-3-1 that was set up was huge. So now they're coming into a very important game, and they need to adjust their strategy.
Yeah, I would expect them to go back to comfort. I mean, LGD have looked shaky. Their win was kind of shaky too. They didn't close it so well. So UOL, with the Mage's bot, they might catch LGD off guard because I don't think anyone in China was really busting out the Swain bot and stuff. So UOL definitely have the element of surprise on their hand. But they definitely need to close it out. And LGD on paper, they still look strong. But just in the games that they've played, they look so bad.
Yeah, they really, really do. And of course, depending on the result of that one, in this group stage, because it is only single round robin best of 1, the team that won the head-to-head will have side selection in those tiebreaker games if we get to them. So we're definitely hoping for them. And just waiting to find out exactly what's happening. Well, I love Kedril. First game, smashed it. And of course, all of the delays, all of the pauses happen with the newest caster to the caster desk, you know? So right into the thick of things.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good game as well. That was a banger.
It absolutely was. All right, we are currently struggling with a little bit of technical problems, so I do apologize. And of course, producers will give me updates in just a moment or two. But I mean, what I love about this again, and I am going to be quite frank about it, is the discussion around PSG and the fact that Kongyue and Uniboy really have stolen the show. Nobody will deny the fact that I think on an individual level, they look like they're stronger than River and Tank. And as a duo, they've had a very big impact. But we've never been in this scenario. There's never been a pandemic around the World Championships. So it's such a difficult story. You're not going to have any time to chat because you've had enough already. We'll be right back as the analyst desk look ahead towards Unicorns of Love versus LGD.
Another banger.
Another banger.
The look that they are having is very similar to how I would judge like a G2. It's like they're almost playing disrespectful, they're drafting disrespectful, but then they bring out victories out of nowhere. And the big question is, can they solve some of these issues against better competition? Because in the LCL, they dominated big time.
This one was supposed to be the game where LGD asserted their dominance on the plains. However, in typical LGD at Worlds fashion, things did not go to plan.
Is this a one-game mistake out of LGD, or is this actually the level that they're going to bring?
I don't really consider it gear. It's an extension of who I am. It blurs the line between fantasy and reality. Sometimes, I can't tell myself from my machine. I think that's by design.
welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk. We just saw PSG take down V3 with Unified back in the bot lane, and they've secured at least a spot in the play-ins knockout stage. Rainbow 7 the same. What do we think of PSG's performance, Yamato, and Amazing?
Honestly, it started off in the draft. You know, with all the junglers banned, it was just, you know, what kind of champion pools are they going to showcase? We saw the blind pick Kindred, and what V3 did was they just made this Kindred the most valuable one ever with the third pick Galio, and they just kept drafting into the Kindred.
So what do you, in your dream scenario, if you could rewind time, I'm sure there's other things you'd be doing, but if you were doing it and heading to the draft, what would be that third slot instead of Galio? What makes more sense?
We were discussing just a jungle pick, like
jungle
just Gragas or Sejuani, just lock it in there, which you know, could combine with Renekton that you picked in 1-2, but that's also a discussion if it's valuable to do against the Ornn. I like the Maokai and the Malphite, just lock it in.
Just boring, tanky.
Boring
trees.
tank.
Yeah, okay, thumbs up for boring tanks, and quite the opposite of that. Amazing. What's your take?
No, I'm with him. I think especially after the first pick on, you kind of have to like understand the circumstances you put yourself in, right? You give the first pick on to Hanabi, and suddenly you have to put you have to match the scaling to a certain extent, and I think that's what they didn't do. Like the Galio pick put them on a timer, especially against mixed match damage in the mid-jungler's position, and suddenly you find yourself in a whole world of trouble, so. They didn't do a very good job of answering that.
Yeah, Kadril and Vedius were both very passionate about what to expect from the LGL representatives, but perhaps it's not time to give up hope yet. Regardless, we do have your Oppo player of the game. It's down to Kongyue, and I'm wondering if you can guess which one this was. Oh, you get the pretty camera angles as well.
He tried it earlier already, like to get a gank on the mid lane, and now he actually executes perfectly. Double flash in. They sacrifice that in order to get the game later on, which is basically pushing the mid lane continuously, and having that play happen against the Galio, which is such an early game champion, is so crucial.
It's also the fact that it just showcases, you know, in the past, always when Galio was meta, Kindred always kept creeping in because at every point in the game, she does so well into him. You have the ultimate to deny any combos that you want to pull off with Galio, and at the same time, the mid ganks are super, super good because you can dodge around the abilities. And in this case, he scaled super, super well, got the stacks together with the Syndra and mid. The AHQ synergy is showcasing, you know, the level right
Perfectly,
here.
Yeah.
But boys, we do have to reflect a little bit on what this means for PSG. I mean, they are potentially top of the group, right?
Yeah.
That means you're straight to Worlds groups, but that's going to be with 2 new players. I mean, River, Tank, I think the last kind of sentiment from Kadril and Quickshot is they've got huge shoes to fill now if PSG follow through with this. How much do you believe that the standards have attributed to PSG's success?
Honestly, a lot.
Yeah.
Super, super much. I think the AD carry role is not the position that gets to dictate super much in the game.
Yeah.
I think with mid jungle 2v2 right now is super important in the meta. Yeah. And I think they've showcased a greater champion pool proficiency than the guys that are sitting over in quarantine. So I think with this in mind, it is going to be super, super tricky. Super tricky. It's a very weird situation.
Is that what you're saying? No, but
that's what you're saying now. Huh?
Yeah, words in his mouth there, Amazing.
No, but I kind of agree with you. I'm happy that they actually had a mid-jungle situation coming in, because if you separate mid and jungle, it's kind of like really hard to get synergy going. If you plug in and play, like you have to do it as a duo. So mid and jungle coming in, replacing like the ex-mid and jungle, kind of made the synergy progression a lot easier, because suddenly you had those combinations come in. You know which mid jungles work for you. You know which kind of champions you can pick. You know how to approach those ganks. And I think that actually bode well for them.
Yeah, it certainly did. And for UOL, a win here in this next game, UOL taking on LGD is our final game of the planned games. It is going to be an interesting one. And why don't we start turning attention to that pre-match? Let's get ourselves equipped and ready for UOL LGD. So just to reiterate, make sure I'm saying this correctly, Yamato. If we see LGD take this, we're done and dusted. If UOL take it, they can still take a shot at the #1 spot.
We will get the rematch against PSG, and then, of course, LGD would have the rematch against the 1-3v3. So we have 2 tiebreakers or none because of the head-to-head, of course, between the triple tie that would happen with the 2-2-2-2-2-2-2-2. The machine gun tiebreaker.
Yeah.
But coming into this match, I think we always talk about Unicorns of Lost draft.
Well, but would you look at this?
No. I mean,
this is what you want. This is not what you want.
Okay.
It's just,
you know,
outdated champions, right?
I'm actually not that sure about it. Like, I actually like Unicorn's draft. It looks clean, to be fair. Like, there's clear objectives in the draft. I just think that throughout the early game and mid game, they just didn't find anything. Like, that kind of pick never came to fruition, you know?
Dumb question, the Wukong. It seems like UOL are the only team that are bringing the monkey out to play. Is there a particular reason and purpose for that Wukong showing up in the draft last?
I guess with all the bans that happened, with Renekton being out, Ornn being out, they thought the Wukong would be the counter into the Camille, but I think this is a matchup that has progressed into a position where Camille is going to do better. And with the Scar and jungle, I think for the 2v2 top, Evelynn is just going to be so much stronger, and I think that puts the game in a trickier position.
So Unicorns of Love, are we expecting a return to the same style of draft that's been working for them up until the Rainbow 7 game?
Yeah, potentially, but it's like, I think the only thing that they actually have to change up is probably the mid-jungle duo. I would say the rest of the draft is actually kind of clean.
Okay.
So mid-jungle maybe slightly more aggressive, because this is a passive scaling kind of pick, right? You know that at some point you're going to outscale and you're going to be fine in team fights, but he never got to that point, so...
Well, what better conversation than outscaling than that mid lane? We saw what Kassadin can look like when he gets big and beefy, and no man's no better to guide them to victory with something like that.
Do we know the side selection? Because I don't know the side selection. Who's playing on which side? Maybe someone can tell us.
Absolutely.
I would say that Unicorns Blue, no? Like, because on the left side, but we'll see about that. Like, the amount of plays he can make with Kassadin, and just the teamfight execution that UL has been like famous for, at least in the group phase so far. It's that the confidence has to come in. I think given something more mobile in the mid lane, maybe even a LeBlanc, maybe some kind of champion like that would bode better for them, because that's just the playstyle.
I think with the idea of beating LGD, I think on blue side you just have to look for that first pick Ornn, honestly. And LGD haven't gotten a win with anything but with an Ornn, because that just compensates for all of their weaknesses. You pick Ornn and you outscale and you win team fights, and that's such a band-aid solution for many of the teams here in the play-ins. And I think that is going to, be the big question mark, because I think whoever team fights better composition-wise is going to have an edge based on what we've seen so far, but in the end it's best of one, so anything can happen.
This whole year I have spent at desks doing League of Legends. It always comes down to, well, whoever gets Ornn's got a pretty good chance, so we'll keep our eyes on that big fat goat man. But for now, it's time to see if Unicorns of Love can force a tiebreaker game for first place as they face off against LGD. We'll be right back.
Ornn.